Boom, it's okay. Hey, good afternoon. I'm the Grow Boss, and I know there's just a couple of you out there watching right now, but this is Hydro Hustle. I own a hydroponics store here just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. You own a hydro store, or you're a vendor if you're watching this video, because if you're not catching it live right now, I'm going to email it to you in a little bit. So pay attention. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Let the thing play through, and we'll get the show started in about 10 minutes. Good afternoon. It's good to meet you. I've got some interesting stuff that you want to hear. Be right back. I love playing with you guys. Oh, it's fine. Ooh, I spelled it right. Sweet. Bonus. I'm so professional. Killing it. Me and 2 others. Although it could be me and 3 others. 3. I don't know if it includes me. I wouldn't stop. I would just continue. Yeah. Hey, I'm the Grow Boss. We'll be starting this webcast in just a couple minutes. It's by invite only. It's for hydro stores and vendors. It is not public. It will be later, but it's not public at the moment. I just thought we would share some ideas. I went to the Indo Expo in Portland. They knocked it out of the park. I got some information about that. The MJ BizCon's coming up. I got a bunch of stores that showed up here in Las Vegas that, it's kind of interesting. Like, I'm going to go over this graph of some other stores, right? I've got, I've just got some stuff to go over with you. So give me one sec. We'll let 5 people log on. We'll start at 1 o'clock. But you'll want to hear what I got to say, so give me a couple more minutes. You know, I am in the back of my store. I am literally sitting in the back of my store, but when you look at this, when you look at the my show open, it seems so newscasty. I just love it. It's so official. I got my desk right here. Got this news thing going on up over here. It's very official. I gotta tell you, it's my show, and I'm excited to see what happens. It's the first one I'm doing like that, like this. Listen, this is completely unscripted, right? Like, this is me in the back of my hydro store in the middle of the day, customers coming in and out, Chuck working here, so, you know, it's a working hydro store. Oh, see, there we go. That's my clue. So it is time to get started. Hi, I'm the Grow Boss. I own Henderson Hydroponics, a little dink store just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. You can see that on this chart right. You can see that on this chart right here. There are all the stores right down the main line right there, and here is my little store in the green line off to the side. So, I also do this webcast on the weekends at 9. I'm the Grow Boss from the back of my hydro store, where people can call in and they can talk to me about growing. So, welcome to, welcome to my hydro store. We've been remodeling it. We got some stuff going on. This is my demonstration station. But just to get started, there's a couple things that I'd like to go over that we're going to talk about in the show, and let's get a couple of the details out front first. One is, I'm the guy who sends you the books. I'm the guy who sends you the free magazines. I'm the guy who writes the Grow Book and Equipment Guide and all this stuff that we send you, the shirts that we print. I'm the guy who does all that. Okay. Next thing is, it's a community thing. So, you know, for years you guys have watched me. I've sort of been like the heralder, like the bad tidings guy, because I've been saying cannabis is changing and the market is changing, and where it is now is not where it's going to go. And, you know, rightly so, I got that rep. However, I would still like to point out, though, that when my business is doing good, the books are doing good, the stores are doing good, the vendors tell me that they're killing it. So I'm just saying that just because the market's doing one thing doesn't mean that we're not existing, you know, a little bit behind the market. And I'm going to go over all that today because I just got back from the Indo Expo in Portland, and they knocked it out of the park. They were fantastic. They delivered everything they promised to deliver, and then some. But who were the winners and who were the losers of the Portland Expo? And we're going to go over that. I would like to point out one thing first. So it is a community thing, and the beard. Okay, so this guy is the Mammoth P guy. He's a guy, and everything sort of cycles through the store, like new products come in. This is the guy who's been making the big push right now in the market, the Mammoth P product guy. And unfortunately, I just want to tell you that he got hurt. And while there's graphic images, this is the guy. He has a story behind it, and there is a fundraiser GoFundMe page that I'm posting up on that I put up on the live chat, so you can click the link to his story. But he was working on the farm, and he got hurt. But he's the guy, Mammoth P. I mean, this guy literally's got the PhD in microbes. So I just wanted to tell you that donate to his cause, man. It sucks when you get hurt on the job doing the thing, and it seems to me like if we're going to be the kind of community that rallies around people, this is the kind of thing that we're going to rally around, because he's in our community. Who better to take a moment and donate a minimum of $100 to? Because it would suck if it happened to you. So I posted up his link to his GoFundMe page. I'm the Grow Boss at Yahoo. I can email it to you if you need it later. But that rally around spirit is what I would like to invite you, the vendor, the stores, and me. I'd like to invite you guys to think about what I'm offering today and this webcast, the Hydro Hustle, something that we can all work with together. Because the market is changing. I just got back from the Indo Expo. It is, the Indo Expo is crazy. There were a lot of people at the Indo Expo. This is Saturday. This is Industry Day. And of course, this is real time. Yeah, so this is first thing in the morning. We're probably about an hour and a half into it now. And yeah, you hear it. Now it's starting to get packed, right? Look at the aisle. Boom. Up. Look at the aisle. I mean, that's what we paid for. It was about that throughout the whole show. So in terms of the Indo Expo, they did a good job. I would like to say early on in the show that I would like to define a couple of terms here. One of the terms that I would like to define is grower and farmer, because I learned something this weekend. Indoor growers are not farmers. Indoors is not the same thing as outdoors. Not in any stretch of the imagination. I mean, like, we're growing indoors, and here in Las Vegas, we grow indoors, right? So what's the difference that I've been talking about, that the purpose of me sitting here and doing a live webcast, because, you know, I could just send you guys another email. I mean, I could sit here and talk for an hour and get it all out, unscripted, a little chaotic, but on point, get the ideas across, and I could send it out to you guys in an email for everybody to watch. But what is the difference between indoor or outdoor? Because in Portland, Oregon, there was nobody that was going to come and buy from a hydro store like mine. There was no product in my store that was going to sell to Portland, Oregon. Why? Because, I mean, like, when we watch that live stream, the farms are 30,000 plants outdoors. 30,000 plants outdoors. What the fuck? You know, at 30,000 plants indoors, at least you're buying lights at once. Nutrients. In Oregon, that was another thing. Oregon, let's define another term we had talked about. Let's define hippie, because in Oregon, it was spectacular. But these are no longer 1960 dirty hippies. Okay, the further north I'm told, the more facial piercings and dreadlocks that there are per capita. And I'm sure there were even more per capita because of the type of show we were in. But I would just like to point out that these are not 1960 dirty hippies. They have a cause, yes, but they are smart and aggressive, and they have a desire to be a leader. I mean, the people in Oregon, in Portland, Oregon, the hippies in Oregon, they are unbeatable in terms of business. You cannot compete with a hippie on a farm in Oregon for several reasons. One of the reasons that you can't compete with a hippie on a farm is they're not playing the same game we are. Yeah, maybe they're playing different rules when they grow outside, because when they grow outside, the plants are 15 and 19 feet tall. And it is not the same thing. One outdoor plant is like 250 indoor plants. In Oregon, the amount of yield that they're talking about is stupendous. They're growing on like hecta-acres. When you watch videos that I've been introduced to, these guys are burying telephone poles and running wires through telephone poles to do light depth. I mean, it was And their business, 2017 farmer hippies, which is what they are, their business model is unbeatable. I mean, they are the tea making only, no nutrient growing, running farms of people, like, huge farms with huge people and enormous quantities of work, and all of their paperwork and licensing is in a row. They were talking about $500 pounds. Oh, we can't wait until it is transportable across state lines, which we've talked about before. But they've said that before. Oh, sorry. And if you guys want to call in, the number is 84 Grow Boss. If you're a store, you're a vendor, you want to tell me something about the industry and you want to share your ideas, you guys can call me. It's 84 Grow Boss. I'm in the back of my hydro store. I've got an hour and a half or so to do this today. If you guys don't have anything to say, I'm happy to just go through my little thing for the vendors or the stores to watch at their convenience. But I'm just suggesting that I don't know that this is going to require something greater than just me sending out magazines or any of these magazines or stuff to solve, because the people in Oregon, their observation was, as soon as it can be transported across state lines, it will spill out of Oregon. It will just roll out of Oregon like a bud tidal wave tsunami in every direction. They're growing on hectares with 19-foot plants. Oh, they had a winner this year in an unofficial record, 21 pounds from a plant. 21 pounds, what's that, like 10, 11, 1,000 watts indoors? That was one plant outdoors, 21 pounds. That was 20-some feet tall. When I asked you in the earlier video, the difference between, in the, the pre-show video, the difference between growers and farmers, and I was like, do you know the difference? Farmers are growers, they're growing, but growers are not farmers. I mean, these guys have 30,000 plants that are 15 feet tall in 100, 200-gallon buckets. They go through nutrients, but they're using powders. Even in the facilities out here, they bought their lights. One of the guys who owns a hydro store is co-owner of a facility. I'm under the impression that GH years ago invested in one of the other facilities. But once they buy their lights, what do they do next? I mean, there's not much. Sure, some of them shop local when they need stuff, but unless they're an investor in there, I mean, what are they going to buy replacement bulbs? Listen, the big corporations don't shop local. I see this. So my question is, like, we've got this position that we've been talking about for years. And for years, people have been saying that the threat, oh my God, it's going to be in Walmart. It's going to be in Home Depot. Listen, that's never been the threat. Walmart and Home Depot, could you imagine? Could you imagine the plumber dude? The stocking lady? The chick behind the counter? Could you imagine her walking down the aisle and the guys that come in my store asking them questions? Can you tell me how many nutrients I should be using? They'll only sell that shit on the internet. And who cares? It's been on the internet for years. 51% of hydro store sales are on the internet. Hey, we look at, I mean, you want, in terms of that information, here's every hydro store, one of my websites. Boom. There's actually like 1,550 hydro stores in the United States. 5 years ago, less than 3% were chain stores. 33% are chain stores now. 33%. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at Las Vegas, here's the graph. Right, so like, here's me. I'm off over here. Like, this is me in the green area. This is me over here. Right, so we just had a couple of major chain stores open up stores right down the Las Vegas Strip. There are 10 and 12 chain Green Coast and Grow Generations from out of state. They have the express goal of opening up a hydro store in every state that goes legal. And I think that's so smart. I mean, it's a tough call, right? Because here's a guy who owns a hydro store and he's part owner in one of the facilities. And because in Vegas we grow indoors. So they bought their lights. I don't know what's really left. There's nutrients and insecticide, like emergency purchases of nutrients, and worth that much. I will say that after visiting the stores and looking at the images online and taking a moment, I had to take a step back and look at my store and say, am I doing everything I could? And for the last month, I made a video for the last month called Project Grow Store. I redid my store. Like, got shelves, we painted, I moved the counter, and I'm not willing to show you all of it here, but we spent a month redoing my store. We spent $20,000 remodeling it. Wait, no. We spent $3,000 remodeling it. I spent $17,000 adding inventory to it. Why? Because I fell into that trap. Oh, they don't buy it. Why would I sell it? So that's from the store owner side. From the trade show side of it, these guys in Oregon are ready to transport across state lines. Now, is the industry shrinking? Listen, I've been saying that for years. That's not what today is. Today's not doom and gloom. What I'm here to tell you is that at the Oregon Indo Expo, there were live trim demonstrations. They were trimming. There were live rosin press and extraction demonstrations at the show. I'm telling you this because almost everybody that's here today was here 5 years ago. And you guys remember. And a lot of you are still in states that's where it's illegal. So you may not even conceive, because occasionally I get emails when I send out my magazines to stores with marijuana on the cover. You guys can't even conceive of it being legal. And they're doing rosin press. The guy I hired at my booth to pass out the flyers, to pass out the cannabis investing flyers that I printed for the shows in the MJ BizCon. That guy comes back. He knew the guy who was running the trim, and he came back with a handful of bud. Okay, I'll tell you a story. Here's a great story. Here in front of me, the guy in my booth that I paid to give away stuff meets another guy. So here we go. So, guy in my booth. So I'll tell you the story. So all this is happening, right? Guy in my booth sees another guy he knows. They were talking about all the bud that they grow on their farms, because nobody talks about the grows. They all talk about the farms because their plants are 19 feet tall. So they all talk about their farms. So he's like, oh, I've been growing this Kush, whatever. You know how many strains there are, right? So the other guy reaches way down into his cargo pants pocket, and he pulls out like this 100-ounce jar of bud and shakes some out, shows it to the guy working for me, who says, sweet. And the guy goes, no, you're good. So he takes a couple of the buds, hands some back to the guy, who puts it back in the jar, puts the jar back in his pants pocket. My guy goes over to his jar that he's been collecting all day. Cargo Pants turns around, bumps into someone who literally says, hey, you know that strain you gave me? And they start talking about it. Cargo Pants reaches into another pocket, pulls out another 100-ounce jar of some other bud, and repeats the process of showing the guy what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. Cargo Pants is walking around with 3 or 4 jugs. This isn't, you know what I mean? It's not an eighth. It's not 2 fingers. It's a flip top jar in every pocket. I remember. Okay, here we go. Oh, don't forget, contribute to Scott the Beard. All right, so let me, I remember just, okay, Trim Pro, okay. I remember literally what? Like 24 months ago. 24 months ago. If people would come into my store and this shit was gangster. A $1,500 trimmer? This was 24 months ago. They have trimmers that are $10,000 and more. And this is a great trimmer, by the way. I mean, it's a great trimmer. I'm not pointing out that the Trim Pro is anything less than fantastic. It makes my store money, and we stock them in the store. So that's not. I'm not looking to have that kind of relationship with you guys over this. I'm looking to, you know what I mean? I'm looking to get the stores. You guys can call in, 84 Grow Boss. Vendors can call in. You guys got some ideas. But in terms of just a business update report, this video was easier for me to write, to do, than to ad lib, than it was for me to compose another one of those 4-page emails about what are we going to do next. Because we've got all sorts of magazines to choose from. Which ones are right for you? Which ones are right to advertise in? Which ones are going to be right for the store? Listen, they all have, this one's Max Yield. This is a good magazine too in a lot of ways. So here's Elevate, and we'll go over the difference between those as well. So 24 months ago, Trim Pro was like super gangster. And now they've got, they produce so much bud in Oregon. They literally have trim machines that just shoot it wherever it is it's supposed to go. There was so much growth out there. It's unbelievable. They talk about the quality of the hand trim, but how do you hand trim hectaacres? Do 40 people grow and the other 8 million people in Oregon trim it? That's why one of the things that I had said in my earlier clip was, who's going to be here in 10 years and who's not? What's the legal status? What's going to change? Listen, they're never going to be growing outdoors in Vegas. It's crazy. But in Oregon or NorCal, but what happens if the last thing that gets legalized is transportation of cannabis across state lines? What happens if that's the last thing that gets legalized? Okay, then that would be the best thing for the industry. Because at some point we all recognize that things are changing. I mean, Oregon is producing so much cannabis. They were literally talking about $500 pounds. I'll tell you something I tell people on my webcast. If outdoors is worth less than indoors, right? Because outdoors is 1,000, indoors is 2,000. If outdoors is worth less, then why do the light manufacturers tell people that their lights mimic the sun? I mean, outdoors is worth half indoors, right? I mean, outdoors, indoors, right? I mean, it's worth a lot less. There's not as many inputs. So the price drops. I mean, that's just economics, doesn't have anything to do with cannabis. If you have any questions, the number is 84 Grow Boss. You can post up something on the live chat. I'll see it over here. 84 Grow Boss. Otherwise, I got plenty of stuff to cover, and I'll send this to you in an email that you'll get it soon. So, what we're talking about is as cost of inputs drop, there's going to be new low-cost leaders. Just like 5 years ago. We had 7 years ago now. We had 3,500 stores at one point. And then it dropped down to 1,000, and now it's at about 1,550. The stores adjust. The distributors adjust. All of these things adjust. All I'm suggesting is that they're all going to find its own level. It's an undampened spring. So here in like this webcast, what I want to talk about are what are the levels of that undampened spring. Because if we know our surroundings, even the guy from Philip Morris said, sure, the tobacco industry is shrinking. But there is nobody better positioned to take advantage of it than we are. And we've been doing this a long time. So who's coming into the market? We're going to get a couple more nutrients and some LED manufacturers. I mean, the chain stores don't necessarily shop from the distributors. They bring in their own containers, whether that be from you or from their own lines or whatever. The chain store thing is a threat at every level. It's a market disruptor. They don't buy from distributors as much. Do they buy from distributors? Yes, everybody does. Even the distributors, they have all their products on little hangy things now, down to the pH adjusters. The market's dynamic. And it's exciting, and it's exciting times because at the Indo Expo, there were booths that there were booths that were for construction companies. Like on the show floor, there were booths. There were booths that were agricultural and construction companies that build facilities here. So there are, there's my booth. There's my booth. There's a construction company that builds stuff there. Okay. Not too many, you know what I mean, in a well-developed market. There are not too many construction companies. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the business of canning soup, the convention for soup canning machines is probably way lower. The attendees is probably what, 4 or 5? I mean, how many people really need a soup canning machine? It's a well-developed industry. So here we are on the border of this, right on the precipice of this super unregulated, free-for-all, things buck wild. Nobody really knows what's going on. For all we know, the infrastructure in Oregon may not be valid nationwide. I'm just saying that the low-cost producer is always going to win out. I mean, do you remember Atari 2600? Now you can pimp bitches and shoot cops in video games. It never goes backward. It never goes backward. So it's only going to get more legal. But again, how do we compete in a more legal market when they're growing 19-foot plants in Oregon? Or when Vegas, when the facilities are owned by the hydro stores, what do the other hydro stores do? What do the other vendors do? And I'm going to, let's see, give me one sec. I'm going to show you, watch this and give me one sec. Woo. Oh, let's see. Nope. Let's go. Okay, the reason that I started with the explanation of what I saw at the Indo Expo, because I started making this point. Over the years, if you remember back in 2011, maximum yield. 2011, San Francisco, there were so many booths, they were spilling outside. They couldn't control it. It's out of control. And everybody looked around and said, where the fuck did 100 nutrient vendors come from, right? Okay, we sort of see that happening again. But in terms of this show, I saw 15 extractors, trimmer stuff, 5 lighting companies, 1 distributor, a bunch of magazines. We'll go over the other magazines in a minute. Construction people, like it's a new burgeoning industry. Is that the word? Burgeoning? Like a newly developing industry. And then there were so many new products, like we haven't even finished figuring out what products we need for the industry, what tools we need, how people are going to grow. There's still 50 different ways to grow. There are a dozen different digital control systems. But there were very few of those at the show because these outdoor growers are hand watering all day, like a lot of plants. They've got some automatic systems, but a lot of them are growing outdoors too where they're hand watering. So that's today's show last week's show was a way more down and dirty, hands-on, practical application. Like when I walked down that aisle at Indo Expo, the growers were there. The actual growers that run the farm. They were the growers. Remember how it used to be the stores? Okay, we used to go after the stores. But there really weren't that many store owners. And if we look at this, if we look at every hydro store, I mean, you know, it's Oregon. You know, it's like 50 or so hydro stores in Oregon. So, listen, California has like 400 some stores. They have literally 1/3 the stores. They do 50% of the business. The other 50% of the business in the United States is divided up over 49 states. Well, even if we did contiguous, I mean, it'd still be 47 other states. But I mean, there's some scale and scope to what we do. So, okay. So you walk through the show and like, they got trim machines. There's no hiding. There's no, I mean, I was the only one smoking. I was the only one smoking cannabis. XL Air must hate me because they were next to me. They kept turning on their AC 2 minutes after I'd smoke a bowl. Okay. So, the show is super interactive in a way that you've never seen before. But that's what it takes because hippies are unbeatable. They're not trying to win money. They actually just want to produce the best, lowest cost dope, cannabis, whatever. Oh, don't worry about it. They just want to produce the best, lowest cost cannabis possible. And they are. And they're proud of how little of everything that they're using. They're proud of how few resources they're using compared to what comes into my hydro store with how much resource they're using. So all I'm suggesting is that these people require a different approach than, they're definitely not store owners, and they're definitely not here to use as much product as possible, and they are not here to, they're not here for $3,500 pound cannabis. So they are really a different breed. They are, that's why I say they're unbeatable. They're not even looking around, man. They're not even playing the same game. Well, playing the same game. Their goal is not the same thing that ours has been historically in our industry, which is profit. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a thing there. That's not a thing. Like the guy at the booth, like a couple of times he commented how he seems like greedy. Like they got like a thing for like people that are greedy. It's going to take a different approach to head up those people. I'll also tell you that it's going to be a different market competing because if they're growing outdoors, they're not buying lights. I mean, even seasonally, if they just try to extend the day, it's 20-to-1 lights. Okay. Were there people in Oregon growing indoors? Hell yes. I had a guy come and approach me because he knows who the grow boss is. It was like, thousands and thousands of plants, and you look at the picture on his phone, and you can't get to the back wall, even if you try to maximize the picture. It's so fucking far away with 120 T5s in there. Why does he have 120 T5s? 4'8" bulbs? Because Grow Boss said they're great for veg. Yeah, but not on a professional level. So we had some stuff to go over in terms of his garden. But 20-to-1, outdoor to indoor. Then we go to Maximum Yield Show, 99-to-1, indoor to outdoor, back in the day, right? MJ BizCon. Now, Max Yield, hydro stores. They went to hydro stores. Did they try to open up at the end of the show to, like, growers on Cut Appreciation Day? Hell yes. But they didn't show up. So my observation here is that MJ BizCon, they got biz right in the name. I mean, they're talking about investors. It seems it is an enormous show. They had to go to a new location. It was so big as out of control. But those people aren't the same ones that were in Oregon. And they're not the same ones that went to Maximum Yield either. So I'm just suggesting that as a group, whether it be hydro stores or vendors, and if you have an opinion on this, 84 Grow Boss, call me. I'm just saying, in terms of hydro stores or vendors, we have to, I mean, ask yourself what you're doing to attract people, to customers. Are you producing content? Are you just competing on the internet to do huge sales at $1 a bottle? Are you a hydro store? Are you encouraging people to come to your store? Are you advertising? I mean, here's a local magazine called Elevate. I only get Elevate and not Vegas Cannabis because Well, frankly, starting next week, I'll open up this magazine and I'll call all the advertisers in and see if they want to advertise with me too. That's why Vegas Cannabis won't send me any more magazines, because I just call all their advertisers and see if they want to advertise with me. Why? Because I don't understand what the attraction is to advertise inside of Las Vegas. I mean, you could go to everydispensary.com and see all the dispensaries in Las Vegas. You could go to Google Maps. You could go to all these places to find out the dispensaries if you wanted to contact them directly. The facilities, I mean. Because, like, sure, the facilities come to our stores, but they're just picking stuff up that they're missing and they can't get on time for the next shipment because they're really unorganized. What? I didn't say that. What? They're great guys, but it's a new thing. Nobody knows. We haven't even invented everything we need yet. They've got new ways to smoke cannabis still. They're separating the terps from the oils. Then they mix them back up together, and then it gets you so high. It gets you so high. All I'm saying is we're at the early end of this new part of the industry. So we have to recognize the industry that we're in, the obstacles that we have to overcome, and where the industry is going to go. And this is what I did with my books and stuff. I did this exact same planning for my books and my store and everything else I did. Because running the store and the videos is pretty fun. It's fairly business. I like using my business degree. I'm a paramedic nurse. I like using my diagnostic tools to solve problems. I'm a computer network engineer. I like using the technology. And granted, I didn't grow up playing Cowboys and Hydro store owner webcast in the back of my store guy. I didn't grow up playing that, but it fits. I like it. I enjoy it. It's fun. And I'm hoping that I can offer you guys something as well. I do this once a week. This week it happens to be about a couple of trade shows and my thoughts on the business and where it's all going and what we're doing. And I mean, it's very exciting times. Are they scary? Yes. If they weren't scary, you'd be a corporation making 11% a year. Scary equals lucrative. That's what I hear, and that's what I want to get across in this webcast for store owners and vendors. What the fuck can we do to get more business? Because I know what I can do to get more business. My dink little store is doing good. They come from all over for me. I would like to help your store do that. I would like to help the industry do that. I mean, 51% of sales are done online. I sell almost 1,000 of these book packages a month that we ship direct to end users, and I have a, you know what I mean? I have a 33% rebuy rate. We do so good connecting with end users. So I have all these ideas. You guys have the ideas too, but you also have the money. So I have the network. We should do this. We should get together. I have the insight. I speak to the people. I understand what's happening and what's going on, and I have the ability to coordinate the effort. And it's not very expensive. I've got all sorts of advertising at all sorts of levels. You could be behind me in my webcasts. You could do webcasts with me for growers. There's all sorts of ways to reach out to people. So my question is what we have working for the markets that we're in? Is what we have working? Is there something else that we can do? Is there a way for us to be a force multiplication? How can we combine efforts, just like I did at the show with this cannabis investing guide? Got a bunch of vendors. We put together free stuff. Why? Because everybody hates it when vendors give out nutrients. But here's something educational to hand out. Okay, it was less appropriate for the outdoor farmers than it will be for the MJ BizCon. That said, there will be less people at the Portland Expo than the MJ BizCon. Mind you, Portland Expo 100%, 103% met all expectations. They were fantastic and completely held up on their end. And if you are looking for growers, if you are looking for processing and growers directly with huge plans, that is the one you're going for. That is just knock it out of the park. MJ BizCon, different. At Max Yield, something different. They all have a different focus. They're all valuable in their own way. But we also have to understand who's going to attend these shows. So these are my observations, that I just want to point out that there is a seismic shift coming and that we should identify it. Because I've been planning my business strategy all these years to be literally right here today to take advantage of it. Because, you know, let me give a quick shout out to Max Yield. This is their magazine. Their cover says, "Let's go up on the roof," which, I mean, my magazines all have cannabis on them. Do I get complaints from stores? Yeah, I get about 9 a year from sending cannabis through the mail. But then I don't really know what to do with "Let's go up on the roof" because, well, frankly, everybody that comes through my store is growing cannabis. And it's not really a cannabis thing. However, I would like to say that after I sent out the last email about their distribution list, that they have updated their list. Because I caught it in last month's magazine, so I brought my verifier in, and we go through all the websites, everything, twice a year. We've done this so many times. I literally have a list that says not stores. So we just go through their list, boom, check it off, check it off, check it off. Because why do we have to keep figuring out who's not a store? Because that's how long I've been doing this. So there's about 1,550 stores at the moment. Let's say 1,600. Of those, 30% are chain stores. Just like, they're all part of chain stores, not. So 500 of the 1,600 are chain stores, like something like that, right? So there are some chain stores with 10 or 12. They have different price matching too. You know, because they're buying the containers not from the distributors. So I'm contending with theirs. So as a little store, personally, as a little store, I have to contend with this. I have to contend with several big stores in my market. And I know how to contend with it because big stores don't buy used, and big stores don't want the hassle, and big stores have lots of people, and everybody shops everywhere. So you have the chance to engage all of your customers. So how are you engaging them? So at the store level, what I did was, well, frankly, I wrote this book, right? So this is the Grow Book and Equipment Guide, but this is the no marijuana version, right? So stores, so every question a customer asks is in this book. Just open it up, no marijuana. I printed 20,000 about 20 months ago. I probably still have about 12,000 of them. It'll be the last time I ever print anything no marijuana, but there's no marijuana in this book. I have the same book, of course, in a marijuana version, and not every store wants marijuana, you know what I mean? But they can buy them either way. They can buy them from either way. That's the marijuana version. Either way, they can buy them from my site, right? And it's here we go. So this is the site. Here, I'll post it up so you guys can have it. Boom, post it up. All right, so here's the site, and this is what it looks like. Check this out. Okay, so you click on stores. It takes you over to the site. These are the shirts that the vendors. I don't always print books. I mean, you watch the video on the Truth About Magazines and Hydro stores. There's 6 months worth of issues piled up in there. So what's the strategy? I will say that one of the smartest things I thought that Max Yield ever did was their iNews. Because of all the stores I went to, there was one of these somewhere on everybody's desk. Different months, whatever. So what do? I print magazines almost every month that I send to Hydro stores. When I don't print magazines, I print these shirts. And then I offer them to the Hydro stores for the price of shipping. $9 for 5 shirts, 14 if you want the double XLs. 5 shirts, just pay shipping. And shipping's actually still cost me money. It's probably, with the cost of having somebody package it up, it still costs me money. But that's okay. That's why we send stuff to stores, right? Because if you guys are having a party, we'll send you stuff. Why? Because my advertisers want to be at your party. And who are my advertisers? It's the same shit you see in the store all the time. We all sell the same shit. That's what I'm trying to do with the show, is get the network out, get the word out. Let's maybe start working together, share a couple more ideas. My number is 84 Grow Boss. If you've got a store, if you're a vendor, if you'd like to reach out, call me. Tell me what product you have. Share some information that you have, and we'll go from there, because I'm excited about what's happening next. These stores are opening up. Listen, they're driving more business to the stores, because if everybody shops everywhere and they're generating more business by opening up, then they're going to shop here too, because everybody shops everywhere. Okay, so for stores, I sell 25 books. It says 24. Should say 25 books, $4 each, $100. There's a little bit of shipping involved, but this is what I do to help the stores out, is I try to put these books together that answer all the questions for growers. That's one of the big advertising tips that I started the show with. And I said, remember, the questions are always the same, only the grower changes. The customer changes, but it's always the same questions, right? That's why I told you guys, figure out the question that the customer that comes to the store is asking, and then just answer that, and then print a lot of them, and then just keep giving them away. Because here is a card that I created for Nickel City. How much light do I need? That's a question customers ask. Nickel City is a lighting company. Listen, there were lighting companies at the Indo Expo. I think it was more like them. They were more like me, where it was less appropriate to be in Oregon. But here's every indoor hydro store. And here's which products they would need from Nickel City, which ones they would need. And then I include these in everything that I ship. Here's one from Mondi. Mondi does cloning. This is every tip. There's their products, and these are the tips on the back. And then I send these out to stores. I send them out to growers. I sell almost 1,000 packages a month. How are we going to take advantage of a shrinking market? Well, we're going to look where opportunities are for expanded growth. And one of the places that we're going to expand growth is we're going to attack the internet. That's why I told you years ago in that white paper that I sent out, I'm going to do videos, because videos, this is ThermoFlow. ThermoFlow right there, blam. ThermoFlow, 3-ply, strong. Just say one thing that the customer wants to hear. Put a picture next to it. Answer the questions that the customers ask. And now the store owners can just be like, here you go. So Clonex, Root Maximizer Clonex. So here I give them something to read, troubleshooting guide, and then bam, I sell them my RO and the Grow Boss Mega Meter on the back. 33% rebuy rate. Showed you that one. Here's another one. I sell them the Grow Diamond. I send them this for free. Wait, is it free? Or is there more advertising on the back? All I'm suggesting is that when I went to the Indo Expo, even though it seemed to be like the trimmers and the processors were clearly the winner in the show, and that fewer of them knew who I was because they're all outdoor growers. I mean, there was the one dude, there was this dude. Oh, I thought I had. Oh, I had a guy drive 4 hours. I took a picture. 4 hours to come and give me a hug, because teaching him how to grow got him off pills. Which, you know, that's nice and all. Meh, I'm glad he's off pills. But I got to tell you, he's a vet. Listen, I would go back and I would be a vet if I could go back and be 18 again. So, you know what I mean? There's always something to be said just for that. Look, what I'm saying is, I have a 33% rebuy rate. That's a hell of a thing. They don't buy the same product, but they buy from me, and it's not actually 1/3. Some people buy 6, 7, 8 times. People spend $700, $800 at my store. It's a hell of a thing. I mean, online with me. So I got customers at my store. So I'm just suggesting that if we look at the market where it's in and where it's going, we have to evaluate where we're going to shift and pivot. Why? Because I still think there's lots of room for us to grow. I've been growing for years. I hear good things from the vendors. in a lot of ways, but not all the ways. So I hear things from stores, good and bad, depends on where you're at. But, you know, I had to spend money reinventing my store because, well, frankly, when I caught this and I looked at how nice these stores were with their TVs, I was embarrassed. And I took some time and I went back and I took some time and I went back and Root Riot starter plugs. Woo! Hydrodynamics, Clone X Rooting Gel. Billion clones a year can't be wrong. So that was the 50 count. So what I'm suggesting is that we have to reach out and find new ways to attract growers. This magazine here, fantastic magazine, Elevate. You know, we have another one called Cannabis, where all of the other stores advertised in. At one point there was like 6 stores with like full page ads, and they were all over the place. You know, the kind of introductory deal you get for a 1-year contract. Please, absolutely not. Besides the fact that they banished their magazine from my store because I was calling their advertisers. I offered them my book. I sent them the vendor list for them to call. What I'm suggesting is that what I did was I advertised on YouTube and made videos for my store, something like Frederated. Not quite yet, but I'll get better. But I went where nobody else was. I had to reach out in ways. I went out on the internet to bring customers in. And so stores have a responsibility. I mean, I think the distributors should be able to sell direct for, you know, of course, no less than MSRP plus shipping. But listen, if they're going to sell MSRP, then I have the chance to beat them, but I don't think they should be below MSRP. You know what I mean? Like, I get frustrated when the vendors sell direct, like LED companies sell direct, and then they call me and say, "Hey, you want to carry your product?" I know why they're selling direct. I understand that completely. But, you know, to call me and then to have a lower price that you sell than my MSRP, that's something else. So I understand that they have to compete. I totally understand. Some vendors do a better job than others. I totally understand. It is a mixed market. It is a free-for-all economy. Everybody gets to do what they want. I think it's phenomenal. But I'm still forced to compete. You know, I find different ways to compete in my store. You have to find different ways to compete too, because whether you're a vendor that's being attacked from all sides, you know what I mean? Like, you could be, "Oh, can I get a Gavita?" "Oh, a Gavita? Well, I don't carry those. I got these. They're DEs, but they're better." "Oh, you don't want those. Those are expensive. I got these because you get a deal on them." You know what I mean? Here's some T5s I get super cheap. Cheaper than from the distributor I shop with, so I buy a pallet from somewhere else because they're cheaper, because growers shop in every store, stores shop with every distributor. It's fair. The distributors are posting up online, selling stuff. So, I mean, if we can just agree that this market is what its market is, and we don't just put anything under the rug, we don't cower, we just open up and face it. I'm just saying, if we know what obstacles we have and we know we can work together, I'm just suggesting that I advertise on YouTube. It's unquestionable how many people come in. Craigslist, YouTube, it's unquestionable how much business it drives for my store. It's undeniable. And the cost compared to print in a magazine, I can't imagine why you'd be advertising the magazine locally. I mean, other than you didn't think about doing what I did. So so we look at what works and what doesn't work. We look at where the industry's headed, and we have to look at who you are. Are you a vendor? Are you a store? Are you an advertiser? Are you selling advertising? And where I might be in several of different of these positions, which I am, I just want to point out that I see this from several different people's perspectives. I see it from the vendors. I see it from the stores. I see it from, right? I see it from an advertiser's perspective. I see it from a grower's perspective, because I'm all of the above. So all I'm suggesting is that what can we do now that we look at all of these perspectives? Oh, and what threats are imminent? GH, right? They got bought out by Hawthorne and Botanicare. I hear they're both bottled in the same facility. They bought Kavita. Here's a distributor who went out and tried to buy several of our distributors in our industry, right? I mean, then when they all said no, or they couldn't buy them, or for whatever reason didn't want to buy them, I mean, Central Garden Supply is huge. Probably, let me give you an example. I went to the MJ BizCon, I think it was like 5 years ago was the first one. I walked down the aisle, I walked down the hallway in the Las Vegas hotel to try to get into the show. And I was like, hey, can I buy your badge for $20? Because, you know, you figure it's like a max yield show, right? So people looked at me like I was stupid. And then I realized, why are even the females are wearing suits? Turns out it's $400 to get in. Now, I did not, hang on one sec for me. Sorry about that. You guys should have been watching this while I was doing that. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about identifying the market and all of the parts and pieces of the market. So that's what everything in this webcast has been up to, is to identify parts and pieces. Because I got to tell you, it doesn't matter if Central Garden buys a distributor or just decides to tomorrow be a distributor. Because here on this right here, boom, here on mailing lists, listen, I know every hydro store, right? I already know this. Why? Because it's already on this map. That's what I do, is I ship magazines to every hydro store. I know every hydro store. I sell the lists. So all they have to do, all any major player would have to do is, Central Garden already ships everywhere. I mean, they already ship. Remember, there are 10 bajillion garden centers and 1,600 hydro stores, of which there are about 1,100 owners. You know what I mean? 1,200 unique owners. So, who are the players? Who are the markets? What is the future? That's what the fuck this episode was about of Hydro Hustle. Because I've got to sit here in the back of my store and watch it all go by. I get to play, I get to interact, but I get to interact on multiple levels in a way. This is why I always talk about, I tell the vendors, you guys have one product that you can talk about. How could you possibly make take the time and make the great root race, where I showcase a dozen different products? How can you with one product showcase a dozen different products? You can't. Why? Because you can't invest your time in advertising the way that the guy who gets paid to do advertising can. My whole day is thinking about advertising. The degree is economics. The rest is problem solving and application. So, where are we? Where are we going? Who's involved? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm in favor of, I think iNews is a great magazine. Sending a magazine to a store every month is fantastic. Shit, I do that 9 times a year. But let's be clear what the difference is. The difference is, when I print this magazine, I print 10,000 of them. I send one to every store, and then I sell the other 8,500. And who do I sell them to? I sell them to the stores here on this page, and I sell them to the customers on this page, and through my YouTube videos and everything else. In fact, when I talk about integration and recognizing the market, See this cannabis investing magazine? You know how everybody says print's dead? Okay, first, I make an enormous amount of money off the stuff that I print. I've got a 33% rebuy rate. What's dead is bad advertising in any media whatsoever. And if you're a vendor that doesn't understand the customer's questions, then you don't know the right answer. Then how are you going to address that in advertising? Because that's what advertising is. Find the customer fear and address it. Just like this show. Find the fear of the industry and address it and see what we can overcome. So what do? Boom, check out this Clonex ad. Ah, unbelievable. Here's a Clonex ad. What's so special about it? Here's their ad. But what it does is it takes the person with the magazine to a video where they can buy Clonex. I literally am the guy who put the first marijuana commercial on YouTube. Literally, I was standing in front of plants, holding up the Clonex bottle, pointing at it with a link where you could buy it, saying this is for marijuana, you could buy it, and Google totally let me do it. They said no, they said no, they said no, and then one day they said yes. All of my advertisers have the ability to be taken off the ad onto the internet. Why? I told you why. You have to know that, right? Because 51% of sales are on the internet. So if I can take you from an ad onto the internet into a video where you can click and buy it, that's why my advertising kills it, because I do that in all my books. That I know. Remember there was My TV. I don't know what happened to it, but I do know that I made the videos that I link to in here. So I know they answer the question that the customer has. Why? Because when I wrote my books, I did the same thing for the customers in the store. I said, who are the players? What are the problems? And where can I be that no one else is? And all I'm suggesting is a bunch of stores and a bunch of vendors that we could do the same thing in the industry. Force multiplication. Listen, I know I know I'm a ball buster, and I know, and I get that. But listen, I don't, even now, I'm trying to be super nice and helpful and, way more Grow Boss interactive friendly and help everybody do better. And that's great too. But, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I do this on my own regardless of what's going to happen. But even then, even if we all work together, we don't have to be friends to work together. So what I'd like to point out is the number is 84 Grow Boss. If you have any questions that you'd like to call me, I'm going to start doing this webcast Wednesdays, Fridays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, just like now. And then, of course, I do webcasts Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. I just want to point out that the intent of this is to be more cohesive as an industry. Milk, it does a body good. Why? Because the doctor said beef was bad. Eggs, 7 a day, that's all we ask, right? Why? Because the doctor said eggs were bad. Cow milk, they put stuff in it. Why? Because humans shouldn't be drinking milk, they tell me. Us, you know what I mean? I got those guys who put the liquor billboards on the side of the road that says late night drunk texting is okay. You know what I mean? Like, buy alcohol from us. So there are things that are illegal and things that are sins, and not everybody can advertise everywhere. But GH was at the Indo Expo. General Hydroponics was there. You know, if you were a lighting vendor and you were there, like there were a couple light guys, I really wasn't feeling it in that show because they were all outdoors. I mean, I can say that because, I handed out a lot of flyers because that's what I was paid to do. But it really wasn't the crowd from an indoor grow store. Okay, so great magazines to advertise in. I'm super pleased that Max Yield got on the ball and updated their contact list, and it's in the back here. And listen, there are a couple of different ways to sell product, right? I mean, you guys as a distributor, as a vendor, a distributor can distribute you, or you could call every store yourself. Like, there are a couple of companies that excel at going directly at the end user, because that's what we're talking about now. If internet is more than half of sales and hydro stores are declining, and inside that segment of hydro stores, more of them are becoming chain stores, then the individual store is declining, chain store section is increasing, total stores will keep declining, and we have to lose a distributor because total stores are decreasing. Chain stores don't buy everything as much from distributors, and there'll be fewer stores because who's going to compete? And then the chain stores, you know, we have to put a timeline on that process because that's sort of what's going to happen as marijuana continues to decrease. I say 10 years. That's about as much time as the politicians and the legalese can, you know, and the DEA for keeping it as a Schedule 1 can eke out of the population. So we've got the players, we have a time frame, we know the obstacles. I think it's time to come to a conclusion of some things that might work best. From my perspective, what I find works best as selling product is twofold, right? I try to drive people to the stores with my name, the Grow Boss. Hey, you got the book? And I try to sell direct online. I'm underneath, I mean, the store is it's a 500% markup. It's a $4 book you sell for 20 bucks. I sell them in my store for 10. But then I'm here, they know me. I give them away if they see that YouTube video. So, that's where I'm headed with these ideas. That's where I'm going. For instance, if you know you're going to own a store for 10 years and you're going to do a Christmas sale, don't put the year on it. Do a Christmas sale and print the same cards for 5 years. You've identified the problem, you've solved it for the long term, and then every year you reach onto the shelf and you grab the cards. So for me, what I do is I try to reach out to growers in some aspects. In some aspects as an advertiser, I try to reach out to vendors. In some aspects as a store, I try to reach out to local people because I don't sell nutrients online, right? I don't sell any of that, only my books and stuff. I can't compete with online. They're so cheap. They get them cheaper than I get them for because they buy in bulk and they buy direct. I mean, it's tough to say that facilities don't buy direct when the stores buy direct and get 20% below what I get from a distributor. Because I got a little store. Totally, I love the distributors. They are fan-fucking-tastic. They make my store possible. I love my store. And I've been actually, as I've been upgrading my store, I've been asking my distributor for advice and for comments. And they've been thoroughly helpful. Why? Because all these chain stores are opening up. So my store has to step it up too. Otherwise, whose responsibility is it? So, in terms of this market, who are the players? The players are the legal time limit, right? So legalese is one of the players. We got a 10-year time limit. There are distributors who want the exclusive for vendors, but who also have their own products. There are the stores. There are the growers. There are the growers that are online buyers, growers that grow in stores, buy in stores, growers that want some of both. So what are the needs? Well, in Oregon, the needs are giant trimming machines. In my store, nothing's changed. It's still education. You go to MJ BizCon. I mean, these guys had to get a bigger booth from last time because it was, I mean, they got so many more. I mean, a convention hall than last time because they're knocking it out of the park. I am so excited to go to that show. I think that's going to be a little bit more like customers that come to my hydro store. They're looking to invest. Because when I polled my people about what to print for the show, Cannabis Investing was the number one question that they said they were getting asked, was about investing in cannabis. So I wrote a couple articles about investing in cannabis, of course, with our advertising in it. And now, rather than giving away nutrients at the show, I've got information and you can get on there and get stuff. In terms of Indo Expo, there was a lot of stuff went out the door on Saturday for Industry Day. Not so much on Sunday. I thought Indo Expo did a moderately good job of controlling the amount of stuff that was given away. I mean, does giving away an enormous amount of nutrients work at the show? Well, we look back historically, and I'm trying to think of what nutrients are winning. Might there be a regional brand in a couple of different regions? Yeah. But for the most part, I think we all sell GH, Fox Farm, Botanicare, those we probably all have. We probably all have some advanced nutrients, even if you do what I do and you just buy it off eBay because you don't want to buy $10 bajillion worth. You know, I mean, there's like a couple of other staples, but they start to kind of fall off pretty quickly from there, right? I mean, there was a lot of nutrients given away in terms of over the years, and it's still GH Botanicare and Fox Farm on my shelves as the main ones, and then everything else is sort of vying for the rest. So, you know, there's stuff like Canna, and you know, a little behind Advanced. Listen, Advanced Nutrients is probably overall the best marketing in the entire industry of going direct to the grower, because in the history of my store, I lost more money not selling Advanced Nutrients than anything else. When I was writing my book and super busy, I didn't deal with Advanced Nutrients, so I probably lost over the years more money by not selling them. I got to give Advanced props. Nobody does it like Advanced. There's a couple of us who do good jobs of going direct. Green Pad works really hard on their videos and going direct. Kind LED, right? I do a pretty good job of it. I mean, there are people that do some social media, but in terms of reaching out to stores and doing all the parts and pieces, it's a tough thing. It's a tough nut to crack. It's a lot of social media. It's a lot of technology. So these are the players. We have this technology of social media. We have videos. We have print. We have stores. It's shifting towards social media with eventually to be facilities. Facilities grow differently than outdoor growers, just like outdoor growers grow differently than indoors, because indoors facilities are really indoors. So these are the players. So what are you guys going to do? I mean, I know what I'm doing. Do you guys want to come and join with me and like join my team? Do you want to, like, I print 9 magazines a month and then I sell them direct to growers? Is that something you might want to advertise in? See what I'm saying? Like, then I print shirts instead of magazines, because like, really, like, how many magazines do you need? And then in December, I print a calendar that goes out to all the stores that I then ship to, I give free to anybody who buys the $69 kit on, if you're like buying the complete kit right here for like 69 bucks, if you're buying this kit, I throw in a calendar like December and January, because I ship the calendars out end of November. And then I do a poster issue. And then if you buy the $69 kit, you get a poster issue for free. To the tune of almost 1,000 packages a month, like 25 packages a day, something like that. I also, of course, sell, like, you know, I have a couple products that I sell because I get them so cheap, and I just make videos about them. Like, you guys are watching me do with my products the exact things that suggest, like, am I an advertiser? Hell yeah. But I'm also a guy with a couple of products who then makes videos about them, how to use them, and then I sell them online. I put them in my store. Ta-da! I make videos in my store, and then I put them on my... All I'm suggesting is that it's a tough thing to just be a little store anymore. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm doing it. I'm just suggesting that it's tough to be just a little store in the kind of competition that I'm looking. I saw that. So I've been making videos in my store for the last 18 months. My store looked like the Salvation Army. There was crap everywhere. I finished the videos. I looked around my store and I was like, listen, I'm not even gonna try to hide it or front. I mean, we're chopping it up on the show. That's the whole point of this, right? Just, I will tell you, I looked around at my store. It was my birthday, and you know what I noticed? It was as old as my underwear. Look around your store. I've been remodeling my store for the last month. You know what I learned about my store? If you own it for 5 fucking years, you put these little cubby holes in the corner of the store where stuff goes to not get sold. I took doors off of cabinets. I was like, no wonder. Okay. Sunlight Supply. Great shows. They've been coming out to Las Vegas every year. They got a Reno show this year. I've been buying stuff from the show because I'm in Vegas for the last 3 years. I found a corner of the security cabinet that had meters from this one booth that I've been buying for the last 3 years. No wonder I've never sold them. They were all piled up behind those bubble bags that I bought from somebody in a corner that you couldn't see because they were tucked behind shit. That's why you can't hide inventory. That's all I'm saying. Is hiding inventory in a store sucks. So except for the security cabinet, I got rid of all the doors. I mean, I got rid of anything that could hide any corners. Everything with super nice boxes is brought up front. And I've taken the time to compete my store against the other stores in a way that they do. I've got TVs up around. I mean, I got another 2 weeks or so to go, and I've got a video called Project Rose Store, where we go over everything I did. I moved my counter. I redesigned my store specifically so I could, hey Chuck?
Yes.
Would you go stand in front of the demonstration station for me, please?
Okay.
So check this out. So now for my webcast, I got a little, look at Chuck's hands. Look at that product. Thank you so much, Chuck. Chuck's going to demonstrate this Mars LED for you. So I have a demonstration station. That's the back. That is the plug. And for $75.99, you'll also get the cord. And that's the light. Thank you so much, Chuck. And so this is in an effort to go after the end user. In my store, I have this demonstration station. Okay. Right now, the demonstration station technically is a bunch of turbo cloners in my store, stacked right there. You can see them because I just am remodeling my store. So we've got something on order, but I can put hardware there so I can show people how to use hardware. All I'm suggesting is that these are all the things that I have to do to keep my store fresh. These are all the ideas that I'm doing to keep my store fresh. So when I look at this from all the different aspects of the ins and outs of the industry, my store is one. Vendors have one product. They have to focus on one thing. I'm a store. I have to focus on my store being done properly. I'm also an advertiser. I have to make sure I'm relevant. I also have to have a platform that people want to advertise in. I also have books to sell that pay for the videos that I make for the end user. What are you doing for your store? You can, any one of these things. I've got cards that'll help you sell your store. I've got books with pictures in them. From a vendor perspective, I've got magazines, shirts, and all these other things. Hey, would you toss me a Made for Marijuana t-shirt, please? Any size, doesn't matter. Perfect. Right? Boom. Made for Marijuana on this side. All the vendors' logos on this side. And I'll tell you something else about that Indo Expo show. I probably sold 40 shirts. 29 of them. 31 of them were for females. If I did it again, they'd all have to be pink with Made for Marijuana on one side. I would literally have to get little strappy ones. That's the market in Portland. They all wanted to say Grow Boss, and they want them in pink, and they want them in strapless. Strappies. That's the market. The Grow Boss this, the Grow Boss that. They didn't know Grow Boss this, Grow Boss. They were the Grow Boss. They had farms with 30,000 plants. Licensed farms with 30,000 plants waiting to spill into every state. So, that's my battle. Once I identified the players, the market, what was happening, that was what I went after. And then a year, 18 months later, last year summer I did it, a year later, I came back and reinvented my store again. You have to fall in love with your store. If you have questions or you have ideas, you can call me, 84 Grow Boss. I think I got about 15 more minutes of this before I'm going to be about through with where I was. With what I wanted to tell you, I mean. This is much easier than trying to type up a 4-page summary to email it out again. So, I love my store. Like I tell you, the industry is shrinking, but I just spent $20,000 remodeling my store. No, $3,000 remodeling my store. $17,000 on inventory, stuffing it up again. So I just want you to understand that while I know, we all know, to some extent that the industry is shrinking, what are we doing about it? I'm expanding my store. I'm competing. I'm taking it to a new level. And I think you should too. I'm leading by example. I'm investing my own money. This was the first year that the Grow Boss was really profitable. And I took the money from the Grow Boss and I reinvested it back in the store. The store paid for the Grow Boss to get started. The Grow Boss paid the store back. Okay, what can you do as a store? I've got books. You can run classes. You could start something too. We've tried that historically. Some of the competition locally has demonstration stations. If you have a customer appreciation day, I'll send you books and stuff for you to give away for free. There's all sorts of stuff, but you can't just sit there. Even I'm guilty of it. You know what I mean? Like, I have to reinvent my store. So that's from my end of it. Now we look at from the perspective of the vendors. They've got to reach out to you, but what's going to happen next? We've seen a couple more LED companies creep in. We've seen some more nutrient companies creep in. Oh, listen, anybody that wants to get in the marijuana industry because they think they're going to win is going to get a nutrient or an LED. But in terms of the Oregon show, who was the winner? And listen, I'll tell you who the winner was, but first, let's see. Or under the cap. Next, there's the meter body and the probe. This is how I engage. Detachable and replaceable. And finally, on the meter body are 3 buttons. The top one is for temperature. The middle one is for ppm and pH. And the bottom one turns it on. And what was that other thing? Oh yeah, they're waterproofish. Check that out. Which is awesome in case you drop it in the water. But know this, we don't warranty water drops. So let's start with ppm. And in these 2 shot glasses, we have Vegas tap water and Costco bottled water. And to test them, we turn the meter on by pushing button 3. We wait for it to boot and for the numbers to settle down. And then, because we're testing ppm, we don't have to push anything else because that's the default. See what I'm saying? That is a simple commercial. And I spend $3 a day advertising that commercial on YouTube and in all of my magazines. I'm just suggesting that as this industry grows up, we have to do some growing up too. And even if the industry's shrinking, we've got 10 years. And I'm still taking advantage of it. I'm increasing my store. I'm increasing my advertising. I'm working through the details. How do you interact with stores? Listen, the chain stores only get fussier and fussier. They're not going to buy. I had a guy call me up today, ask for who buys new product. And I'm like, oh, we don't sell new products here at the store. You know what I mean? Like, why would I sell a new product if no one's going to ask for it? What you're asking me to do is stock your product in my store until it sells. And that's not really what comes out of people's mouths. So as a store, that's the threat that I recognize. So you can send me product to sell, and then when it sells, I'll buy more. Otherwise, and as the chain stores come into play, their sophistication and your ability to get 50 little stores like me will go away, as you're going to find when you look at this picture. You know what I mean? 3 of these stores are owned by chains outside of the state. How are you going to... Listen, you're just going to knock out the smaller guys, and that's fine. You knock out the smaller vendors, smaller stores get knocked out. Like I said, fewer distributors. It's half race to the bottom, half shrinking industry. All I'm saying is you have to pay attention to what products are going to survive. Like, I look at my book, and at some point in the near future, an indoor grow book like mine won't be relevant. Neither will any of the other staple books. You know what I mean? Neither will any of the other books. they won't be relevant. Because, I mean, who buys a book about growing tobacco or beer? You know what I mean? It's just not, meh. I might sell a few, but it's not going to take me into retirement. You want to know what's going to take me into retirement? You've been watching me do it for years. I learned how to write. I've become a webcaster. I can journalize and document, and I've been practicing all these skills. I'm still investing in my hydro store. All I'm suggesting is that, you know what I mean? It's not going to take me till the end of my days. So, how can we take advantage of the time that's left? We know how I can as a store. We know how I can as a book. I keep my advertising current. I keep my list accurate. I get the right things out. I have excellent feedback from the stuff that we put into, from the vendors. That includes the stuff that we put in the magazines. Listen, here's my competition. This is Elevate. Whatever their number is, this is Elevate magazine. I believe they do a local magazine in multiple states. I don't particularly know. It says Elevate Nevada, so I'm assuming if you're a magazine, you could do Elevate all 49 other states too. There's Vegas Cannabis. It's another great magazine that's local. Here's iNews from Max Yield. Listen, they're all fantastic. Like all the nutrients in my shelves are fantastic. The question is, how much and what do you get? I don't really ever get like these magazines, and they don't really have anything to do with what I sell in my store, and my store is kind of small, so I don't really know. And I think I've gotten one case in years. You guys watched that video I did on the truth about, so the truth about magazines and hydro stores. So, look at me. Boy, I gotta tell you. I'm the boss, and I'm doing that roadshow in Texas. And this is gonna be a new segment called Where Do Our Magazines Go? Because, you know, I sell magazines too. I send them to all the stores. You guys advertise in magazines as well. So I thought it fair that we make a little video and see what actually happens in the stores with our magazines, right? So here's one of the racks. Let's take a quick look. Can you see how dusty it is? Let's take a look at Hydro Life. Can you see love me with hair. Garden and Greenhouse. I mean, there's 4 different issues of Hydro Life with dust on them. This Maximum Yield, beautiful magazine, sitting on. Okay, but it's not just that store, right? I mean, like, this was years ago.
Love that
okay?
stuff. Got to sample a little something.
This is great.
Hey, didn't see you there. The nutrients. But it's not hydroponic nutrient buds from Advanced Nutrients, some random thing from Fox Farm. This killer notepad that Fox Farm puts out for stores. Love that stuff. Got to sample a little something over here. That's what sits on this guy's desk. Let's see what else he's got. Here's another Canada display. Super nice.
I think that guy actually had an iNews on his desk.
25 spots are empty. You know.
Okay. So I went to all the stores and I showed you what was in there. And frankly, I was blown away by how bad it was. You know, here's another store with a bunch of shit. And here's another store. These were great stores, by the way. Shelves of shit. Listen, I sell almost 1,000 packages a month. If you're looking to take advantage of where the market... Oh, yeah, look at that Dallas sweat ring on my shirt. Hey, can I have a water, please? The Dallas sweat ring on my shirt. If you watch this video, it comes and goes. It's funny. Boxes just in the back. Crazy. Yeah, don't throw this one. Thank you so much. I told you, man, it's a store. We're open for business. Okay. So, here's all the, you know, just shelves and shelves and shelves of stuff. So, I really tried to go after the end user, the grower. Because if they go to the store and ask for it, the stores have to carry it. Otherwise, I'm going to sell it to them because they're going to come for me. So, Maximum yield. Distributed by a couple of the distributors. They print a lot of them. They don't send as many as they used to, which is probably smart for them. Not a bad way to go. iNews. I think it's brilliant. I mean, if you don't follow up and you don't know where they're going, and if you didn't know that their list was 33% bad, I sent out that email like 30% inaccurate, where was your money going? Where were they sending them to? For how long? Because I remember 45 years ago when everybody thought there was, I called every vendor. And I was like, how many stores do you think there are? Some people were like 10,000. I was like, what the fuck? Most people guessed like 4,000, but like, okay, so it's a bit much. Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
So, Elevate. Vegas Cannabis, another one. iNews. Listen, there was one of these. They were sending one out. I think that's really smart. I copied them. I send one magazine out. I probably print as many as they do. I print 10,000. You know what I mean? I print 10,000 and then I sell the other 8,500. And I don't print them again until they're done. Because if I've got 8,500 of these and it takes me a year and a half to sell, I print shirts. I print those No More Grow More cards. I print Marijuana Guide, 420 Guide. I print Marijuana Gardens and Grow Rooms. I print all about nutrients. And then I sell all these things off. This is how they get this, right? So somebody spends $69 on my site. They get those No More Grow More cards. They get this package. Like, check this out. This package comes with the bag from the trade show. Like, what do I do with the bags? Dude, I sell them. Well, I don't sell the bag, but I put them in the packages I sell to the end users. In these packages are all the stuff that I sell for all these books. So I don't see this magazine being sold online. I don't know how many iNews they've sold online. But for $1,000 a month, if you go to internet, so here is my website. If you go to, I'm posting it up, advertising. If you go to my site, check it out. Look at all the different stuff we do. Oh my God. You know why the cards are up there twice? You know why January and June are the same? Because I sell 1,000 of those I've been selling them every 5 months. That's almost 4.5 months. I've literally get them and I have to order the next round. I sell so many of those No More Grow More cards. Now, I have a couple more sillier products because, well, I print so much of this shit. Think about your advertising. For the $1,000, you get the magazine to every hydro store. And I have another 8,500 in the background that I sell. I'm just saying that in terms of value-packed advertising and having a strategy, I got a pretty dope strategy. You guys, then the magazines and the book, take them online to sell them products online. So if the stores aren't buying your products, you can advertise in my magazine. It goes to the people who buy online, already buying their product online. And if the stores want, I have books that help them sell product with no marijuana in it. All I'm saying is, these are the things that we have to look out for coming up in the market because it's shifting. A Trim Pro trimmer was gangster 24 months ago, and now they do like 10 pounds in 5 minutes. Zzz, with live demonstrations at the shows. So, is your product going to come out on the other side? You know, if it's indoor, like my book, your time may be 10-year fixed limited, like I consider my book to be 10-year limited. But then who else is in a better place to take advantage of everything that we have left? We're not going to see that many new competitors. You know what I mean? Competition. And frankly, I think some of the other competition, is going to have to continue to fall away. Too big. They didn't shrink fast enough. Listen, 5 years ago, when Homeboy opened up store 18, and it was another 6,000 foot store 3 miles from his first 6,000 foot store, I closed 2 of my stores, shrunk this one, moved it 2 miles this way, went from 4 G's to a lot less in rent. Let's just say that. A lot less. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there were no more. In 1 year, we went from 8 stores to 15. And in 1 year, there were no more growers. The dispensaries were getting busted. There were no more growers. And yet the stores are popping up because the dispensaries were opening up hydro stores. Undampened spring. What are the boundaries? How far does it go initially? 50% of businesses fail. They say it's more for restaurants. Here's a brand new business with all sorts of mishigas and myth and Yahoo and taboo and nonsense and this and that going on in it. So, that's the shows. There are a definite difference in the shows, in the people, and where this is all heading out to. It's you know what I mean? We got a decade. So where are we going to make our money now? Well, perhaps one of the things to do is start decreasing expenses and more efficientizing your advertising, because if they're still coming through hydro stores, then you want to be in the hydro stores. I sell that list. They're still coming through the websites. You want to be on the internet. I got so many views. There are so many followers. They literally come to my store from all over to take pictures with me. It's weird. They come from all over like they did at the show. So the shows are fantastic, even if you just do them to keep your momentum going. But in terms of advertising, where is this? Can you afford to do like a national advertising campaign in a magazine that's one state with a questionable distribution? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, there's a lot of ifs and factors, and what are the strategies to go through? So I'm just suggesting that over the next couple of weeks, as the months roll by, and as things continue to legalize, what are we going to do? How are we going to fight it? How are we going to get them into hydro stores as a hydro store? As a grower, how are we going to keep it? How are we going to keep them buying my books? I mean, as a, you know what I mean, as a vendor, how are they going to keep buying my products? There was so much cannabis in Oregon. It was unstoppable. The farmers in Oregon were unbeatable. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to end? How is it going to end? How long is it going to take to get there? I'm making money on the way there. I'm still investing in my store. I just, you know, I'm just looking to put it out there that it's a lot of people's concerns of where the industry grows. There is a lot of products. Now, you heard me say earlier that the price of bud and that outdoor cannabis is cheaper by half than indoor cannabis. And it's true. And my question is always, if outdoor cannabis is less than indoor cannabis, why are the LED manufacturers saying they mimic the sun and the spectrum? Why are they saying all that? Why would you say our light mimics half-price cannabis? It drives me fucking nuts. So, it just, you know, it's just another one of those things. Where is it headed? So, I have a strategy for advertising that is designed to capitalize on a slowly shrinking industry for the least amount of money. I mean, think about it. Who else makes the video, sells the book on the back end and the advertising on the front end? I make all my money selling the books on the back end and my ROs and my meters. And I'm demonstrating to you these pathways to how to do it because you see me doing it. That's all. I'm just suggesting that that's where this all seems to be headed. So for the most part, this show is over. I'll do this again next week, Friday. I've got more ideas and stuff to talk about. I'll just keep telling you what I'm doing if it interests you guys. But the laws are changing. I mean, I run Grow Boss Cannabis Consulting commercials. Hey, I'm the Grow Boss. And in your state, it's starting to go legal. If you've got questions about growing cannabis indoors for yourself, medical questions, facility questions, at any level, you can, and then I literally flash up my, you can sign up on my Grow Boss Cannabis Hotline. I do so many of these a month. It's almost frustrating how many of these a month I do. I do more than one a day. Let's start there. I probably do 10 or 12 a week. It's a hell of a thing. You got to schedule it, coordinate it. And I run these commercials exclusive in the zip codes where it's going legal. So do I see the value of going legal? Hell yes. But for my store, maybe not as much. So, one more thing. If you have the opportunity, I have it posted up on my website, on the live chat. Scott, if you're in the industry and you got $100 and it's the kind of community where you want to feel like the cannabis industry, for as much as I bust balls and I say it's a business, at some point you have to ask yourself, do you want to feel like this is an industry? Or do you want to feel like this is a bunch of people that all make up a community and it's more cottage than regulated? Do you want to feel like this is a big corporation that's steamrolling and going to try to take over because they can just throw money at the problem? Or do you want to be at the other end where it's a cottage community? And this is one of those times where you have to make those decisions, because you have to vote with your wallet. Everybody can say it. It's easy to raise your hand and say peace, but I've got the links posted here for Scott, the beard, this guy, right? Yeah. Scott. Yeah. So all I'm saying is there comes that point where you have to do the right thing. And sometimes it sucks because it's the middle of the month, there's no rent, and maybe you had the $100 designated for something else. But here's one of those times where you just have to vote with your wallet. Okay, I'm the Grow Boss. I own a store in Henderson, Nevada, a hydro store. I write the Grow Book and Equipment Guide. I wrote them specifically to help store owners sell more product. This webcast will be Fridays at 1 p.m. If you have an opinion or something that you'd like to know, or if you have a question, or if you'd like to reach out to me and advertise to the stores, I will take this, turn it into a podcast. I will run it on my new network, Cannabis Information Network. I just want you to know that I am going to start to try to put together a more something that looks like, nope, but I never do this from the user side. Okay, dashboard, let's try this. Oh, view channel, that's what I want. Internet. Okay, so Cannabis Information Network. Let me just leave you on this last note, because here's what I'm thinking. The farmers, these are the ones that go to Oregon show. These are the hippies that you cannot compete with. So what can we do to compete with the hippies? Well, we take a little bit of technology. These guys are making videos, but we start to put together a little bit of a Cannabis Information Network where we can talk about cannabis stuff, news in the market, stuff that's going on, where we go after the same people that are at the MJ BizCon. And to some extent, they go to the Portland Indo Expo. But what we're really shooting for is, there's going to be they asked me if I wanted to put something in the bags at the MJ BizCon. And I said, I don't know, how many bags? 15,000 bags at the MJ BizCon. That was what they wanted. That was probably why they moved to a bigger venue. Because at 15,000 bags, they were like, not everybody takes one. Not everybody takes one. So, that's how big the MJ BizCon is. 15,000. It's still less than half the amount of plants at some of these cannabis farms at 30,000. But the people at the MJ BizCon. As from my side, how do you go after from like the sell them stuff side? How do you go after them? Well, these tend to be business oriented people because they're looking to invest. It's not the growers that were at Oregon. So to those people, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell my books. I'm going to hand out the cannabis investing strategies with my vendors on them. I also, at the last show, I sent one of the stores, I hired somebody from one of the stores to come and work at my booth. And a month before, I sent out these cards to the store so they could advertise. Like, I always wondered why, when back in the Max Yield days, why when you guys went to a show, you really never did anything with the stores locally. So what I did was I printed up these cards. I put the store on one side and that I'd be at the show at the other. Dude, it totally worked. Here's Meet the Grow Boss on one side and here's the store at the other. I printed up 2,500 of these. Shipped them to the store. They gave them away in their bags for a month before the show. And then when they came to the show, I let somebody give them away at my booth. I had a map of the show that we gave out to people with my advertisers' logos on it. That's how we interact with the people at the show, and that's how we're going to do it at the MJ BizCon, because it's appropriate for both. Cannabis investing was less appropriate for the farmer crowd than it is going to be, I hope, than the MJ BizCon. But that's what we're talking about here, is that's the relationship. We got to figure out who the customers are, who the players are, what hat we're wearing, and how to go after them. So besides, there's all year besides just the show. That's why I'm suggesting that in this sort of new industry, why I print 10,000 magazines, because I print them to go after the stores and then I sell them to the end user. That's $1,000 that goes a long ways. You want to know why my advertisers have been with me for 5-6 years now? Been a long time. You want to know why they've been with me for so long now? Because I knock it out of the park. That's how many books I sell. So, we move them toward the internet. We sell our products direct online. We go through the stores as best as we can. As a vendor, if the stores don't carry me, I'm going to sell it online as a product vendor. I mean, you don't want to carry the grow book? Okay, but I am driving people to your store, and if you don't want to carry it, I understand that. But just understand, if you don't carry it, I sell almost 1,000 books a month. I sell almost 1,000 packages a month, and most of them have a grow book in them. 650, 700 out of the 900 some packages have a grow book in them. And they ask me what it is. I mean, I have everyhydrostore.com. I tried super hard to put hydro stores, but so that's what I try to do to help everybody out, and you know what I mean, to like drive the business of the stores. But we would all have to work together in a different way than me just doing it. It's nice for me. I update the list twice a year. I update my website twice a year. I change that number from 1449. In a month or so, it'll say 1600 somewhere in there. When we're done with my address auditor. So that's where I suspect the industry is headed. How we combat it is an ongoing, fluid, dynamic thing. I have a pretty good platform. Max Yield has a platform. Elevate has a platform. Vegas Cannabis has a platform. There's a magazine called Grow Cannabis from Ed Rosenthal, I'm pretty sure. He's got a magazine that has a platform. But I don't think that we all do this the same way. The same way that growers and farmers aren't doing their same result, a lot of cannabis, but they don't do it the same way. The same thing with me and my competition. We don't do it the same way. There's no magazines that take you to videos so you can buy the product online, because 50% of the sales are online. I don't know if the strategy goes there. And then how do we tie in vendors? As a vendor, if there's more people buying online, I run national YouTube commercials. There are several. I spend $2,000 a month, $500 a week on Google. $500 for my store, $300 a day for $3 a day for one thing, and $5 a day for one. Let's see. So it's $300. So I spend $200 on the Google AdWords and $100 on video stores for my videos for my store. Hey, I'm the Grow Boss, and if you're watching this videos, you should come to my store. We've got new, we've got used, we've got. That's how I do it. So these are the different people. These are the different. What happens if another distributor comes in? So we know the players in the game. We know what stores. You know what I'm doing. You see what other stores are doing. Chain stores are coming in. They're trying to open up one in every state. I'm going after growers with my videos in other states. The vendors and I are advertising nationally. These are the things that I already have implemented. And you are welcome aboard, because there is nobody better positioned to take advantage of all of that than I am. In fact, if you mention this video and whatever it is platform you buy, I'll put 10% of that platform, of whatever platform you buy, I'll chip it in for Scott the Beard, who got hurt. There it is. I mean, this guy, listen, I'm a paramedic nurse. I've run the call. I have seen it. Dude, it's brutal. Take a moment and be part of the community. If you want to pick up a piece of advertising, I will donate 10% of it to upfront. Whatever contract it is you buy, I'll donate 10% of it upfront. So if it's more than the first month's fee, it'll be more than the first month's fee that I donate. I mean, there you go. That's just part of the whole thing, because at some point, man, you got to vote with your wallet. Whether that's your advertising, or whether that's you, at business, or whether you're, I mean, you've watched me compete for 6 years. You're looking at a new Grow Boss competing in a different way because the market's changed. Before, the old behavior was appropriate. Can't be that aggressive dealing with hippies and corporations. So look at the new friendly Grow Boss. All I'm saying is, this guy needs your help. I've already donated. This guy needs your help. I'll donate more. You see what I do. You see what's out there. You see what's made available. You see, if you didn't have the vision from 5 years ago, I am exactly where I should be for the rest of the industry. I don't have to. The next time I print this magazine, I print the same magazine again with new advertisers, or the same ones again. And then I sell another 8,500. I mean, how's that for cutting your costs? I'm demonstrating. I'm trying to lead by example how we can all sort of do these things, because this is, I don't know if you've ever played blackjack here in Vegas, but I used to deal poker, and if everybody at the table does what they're supposed to, and we've done this sitting around drinking at home. If the dealer just deals based on, she was awesome, her name was Janet, super bright. She would deal. And if you just did whatever she told you, the dealer lost significantly. It was when everybody tried to do their own thing that it didn't work. But statistically, if you do certain things and everybody has to do it, they have to do it properly, you can up the house, you can decrease the house average and up the table average to get there because of it. And that's how, if everything goes right, that's how the synergy, that's how you beat the house. And when you talk about that synergy, I would just like to point out that that's what I do. I do that synergy. I help you beat the house by, with the same priced ad, getting it out to the end user. The stores. I sell them and make my money on the back end. How do I charge the same amount of money and donate? How do I do it? I make my money on the back end, selling the product. That's how much product I sell. It's, dude, I'm not even going to tell you. Not even going to tell you. It's so good that my dumb, arrogant ass is sitting up here on a live stream telling you all about it. So, I'll do this again next week. I totally appreciate it. Thanks so much. I'm the Grow Boss. Thanks for watching.